Here's the other T-shirt that I found down there. I probably should have worn this one.
Phone
Put it on.
home. Everybody, welcome to the Quest Culture Podcast, your place for all things sci-fi, fantasy, horror, action, and we get into a little pop culture too as well. But today we're going to be talking about our favorite space-themed TV shows and movies. And to that end, we have your Quest Culture crew, Dana Deet, in her space castle. Where are you? Are you in space?
I am in space. I'm actually on Jupiter right now.
Why Jupiter?
You know what? Because it's nice and big, and it's. Oh.
This is a family show.
Anyway, I like Jupiter. Jeez.
Professor Sheldon Applewhite.
Hi guys, how we doing?
Tell us about your Star Wars shirt.
I'm always, giving a big shout out to my favorite discount store, Lot Less. You never know what you're gonna get in there. It's like going to a space convoy warehouse or whatever. You never know what you're gonna get in there. You might get a lifesaver, you might get a Star Wars t-shirt, you just never know. So yeah. But you
can get a whole lightsaber there? That's awesome.
I mean, you can get anything in that place.
What made you get that particular Star Wars shirt?
Well, I got it for the theme, for our show today. And I just thought it was really cute. It's like, little cartoony, look about it. It's in blue. I thought I could wear it with my, my Yankees hat.
Where's Darth Vader? I just see Luke and some Ewoks. What's going on there?
What do we have here?
Where's Darth? You gotta see Darth.
Wampa.
It's no Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's at the bottom. Look.
That's himself.
Not everything is about Darth Vader, though.
Come on.
But it is, though.
He took off his mask and he's like, come on.
All right.
Yeah, he's like, really, my dad?
No.
You're my dad?
That's a fun shirt. Fun shirt.
That's pretty good.
All right. To Sheldon's point, for the theme today, space movies and television, we have our cousin here. We have more family.
I know.
On the show. Cousin Chaneil, who is an astrophysicist. Did I get that correct?
Yeah. So did my bachelor in Earth Sciences and master's in astrophysics, particle physics, and cosmology, with a specialty in space sciences. So yeah,
very cool.
Super cool.
So if you were on the Enterprise, what position would you be?
Ooh,
that's the thing. When it comes to becoming an astronaut, it's very hard to have like a physics-based job. So like in a lot of movies, they've had the people that are like doing the kind of like calculations of, say, the solar wind affecting the spacecraft or something like that. That would be the physicist. But also they have, sometimes it's a physicist or the engineer that figures out the like calculations for whether they're diverting their route. So like the vehicle kind of. But yeah, I want to be like, that's the whole reason why I got into this field in the first place, was because I wanted to be an astronaut. And I actually I saw Sheldon's face. And then it's because Dale spoke to me about, Dale is another one of the cousins, Brendan's brother. He told me about the ISS when I was younger. And I was like, wait, what? There's people living and working in space. Like, I want to do that. So that's how I got into this field.
That is crazy. That is insane that you had a conversation with our cousin Dale, who also was a guest on the show. And he talked about, and I remember when he went to like space camp. Is that right, Brendan? I remember when he went to NASA space camp as a kid.
Yep, he still has his pictures.
Yeah, and so the idea that you spoke to him about going, like you spoke to him about space travel or, or NASA, and you sort of crafted your career based on that conversation is just incredible to me. It really is.
What age was that when you just knew you were very young?
So I think that conversation happened when I was about like 6 or 7. And then also I had an aunt who worked for the European equivalent of NASA, So
Wow.
Okay.
European Space Agency in Italy, in Frascati. And yeah, very much Dale and my Zia, we call her Zia, which is the Italian way of saying aunt. Both of them are why I thought, you know what, this is possible, because Dale was also studying engineering at the time.
Mm.
So yeah, I
That's
knew
so
that.
cool. So NASA was always the end goal as far as the company, or as far as where you wanted to work, right?
Yeah, so right now, yeah, the ultimate goal would be European Space Agency, NASA, Kenyan Space Agency, or any of the other. There's Kenyan Space Agency, Egypt Space Agency, South African one. And they've just opened up the African Space Union, I think, in Egypt as well. And so any of those, but then also United Nations, because the United Nations have their own like space sector as well, called UNOOSA. You might have to look that up in case I'm incorrect. But yeah, one of those entities.
That is super cool. How long have you been at NASA?
So I don't actually work for NASA per se, like as in directly.
Oh, okay.
But I do volunteer as a subject matter expert for NASA Space Apps hackathons, which I'll give a plug because it is actually something that anyone can get involved in, where it's a 48-hour hackathon that NASA does every year that the participants can be from worldwide, and the age range is very large, and you basically solve real world challenges. So I help out with that, subject matter expert for that.
So so before you can get to space, what's the next step for you?
To be honest, so one thing that I would love to do is get a PhD, because a lot of scientists get a PhD. We have Dr. Applewhite here. So yeah, getting a PhD would be definitely getting closer. But also, yeah, like I want to like fine tune my scientific aspirations. I'm someone that wants to do stuff to do with Earth observations, so looking down on Earth. And I particularly find the global south interesting. So using to look down on Earth with satellite technology in order to mitigate, say, like climate effects in the global south, and helping out, or like doing that alongside other scientists in the global south.
Okay.
But yeah, basically putting the policy and science together, so the UN and like NASA and ESA and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, now Brendan has you on the Enterprise. so, but in reality, what would you say that your day is like day to day? Like, is it always super exciting, or is it just a lot of data that you're looking at, you know?
It's very funny that you say that, because yes, day to day it's different. It depends on the week. Like my day job is being a senior data analyst. So as you're saying, looking at data all the time, that is literally what I get paid to do.
Okay.
But then, like, for instance, I do a lot of volunteer stuff. So like being a subject matter expert for NASA Space Apps, but also I'm an independent expert for the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent.
Okay.
That was a mouthful, but
That's great.
And so last week, the reason why I came to New York was to go to the UN in New York here for the Permanent Forum. And so they had the 4th session, and there it's very much getting to like learn about certain stuff that is going on throughout the world, especially across the Afro diaspora, but also to share your own personal expertise and find others that might have that expertise, and not just do work whilst you're there, but use that information, like do the work on the ground as well throughout the year. So that's where my company that I have, Astronoir, comes in, and basically bridging policy and science doing talks, like speaking, like public speaking, and also trying to engage younger people and make science more accessible for them.
Oh, cool. You know, that was going to be my next question. Because I know that STEM programs or positions have not, as far as for Black kids, hasn't really grown that much through the years. Very little. I know Sheldon's kind of looking at me like, what? But it hasn't really grown that much.
No, I don't know the data on it, but I'm listening.
Yeah, because you know why? Because I think early on in my career, after I got my degree, I kind of regretted getting into business. I really always wanted to have a STEM type of position somewhere. Didn't know, I wasn't focused enough. You know what I mean? I mean, I started off pre-med or whatever, but that didn't work out. You know what I mean? So even for kids like me who didn't really have leadership to help with that, like, do you know of, or are you involved, because it sounds like you are, in programs or mentoring programs that would help Black kids who, because everybody loves some type of science, right?
Yeah.
And probably would love to try to get into the field some type of way, but would not absolutely have any idea how to get into it. So are there programs out there that could help people, like in certain environments, that wouldn't know how to start this career?
So yeah, that's like a few points I want to add on to. So you saying that kids are interested in some sort of science.
Yeah.
So astronaut, like we are like STEM, because there's also the A for arts.
Mm-hmm.
But we are, like, because of like who I am, I have a particular focus in Earth and space sciences, but that does cover basically the whole universe. But like that does, yeah, they should be able to get a grasp of that. We are bringing out programs to go to schools and also for like exchanges as well throughout the diaspora. And that, like, yes, like we're already doing the work to try and get, like, to encourage people to not just like pursue a career in STEM or STEAM. You can also apply it to your real life, you know,
Yeah.
like the fact that you can be like someone that's very interested in gardening. I've been in gardening all day, by the way. I went to volunteer today and I'm absolutely
Wow.
Cool place called La Plaza Cultural. I don't know how to say it but it's in South, like, where was it again, Brendan? I definitely told you. It was like First Avenue, but like
Lower East Side area.
And just to your point, Dana, I checked some of the data on STEM and for Blacks and Latinos. So it's like, in terms of Black students, 7% of STEM bachelor degrees were earned in 2018, below their 10% share of all bachelor degrees, right, which is still underrepresented in terms of bachelor degrees, and their 12% share of the population. So yeah, they're underrepresented. And as for Hispanic students, they earn 12% of STEM bachelor degrees in 2018 compared to 15% of all college graduates. So both groups underrepresented in terms of the STEM fields. And, you know, like, as an educator myself, that we don't have enough representation in STEM and really in a lot of fields that we probably should, right? And so for me, you know, like hearing your initiative with Space Noir, but also just like, one of the things that we seem to be doing with this podcast is really helping people to imagine or to envision the possibilities of being in careers that maybe they didn't think of before. You know, a few months ago, we had somebody who was trained to be an animator. He's African American, Caribbean descent, and now you're on the show. You know what I mean? And so for me as an educator, to see your representation, I think, is very inspiring to like the next generation of people or young people, right? Like, you hearing your story will allow somebody else to envision, or even their parents to envision their place in, you know, space discovery. They could be the next Uhura or the next Jean-Luc Picard, you know what I mean? And so I think that's amazing that you are not only doing the work that you do, but sharing your experience.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm not the only one doing this work. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there are plenty of organizations. I will definitely give you a long list of names, Brendan, if you want to, if this goes on YouTube, you can put it in the description,
Yeah.
That would be
and
great.
then tag on Instagram and stuff. But Black and Astro comes to mind, Black and Geo. There's, I think it's called STEM Noir.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many different organizations that are doing great work.
I have another question that is a little bit of an offshoot, but I don't think it's too much. I want to talk to you about NASA. And from what I understand, the funding for NASA is under, right? They're being underfunded right now. And I want to talk to you about that in relationship to this movement, at least in the United States, which I see as sort of an attack on science and knowledge. And you may be aware of institutions like the National Institutions of Health, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Their budgets have been slashed, right? It's different from space travel, but also NASA's budget has been cut as well, and has been cut over the years. And I just want to hear your thoughts about that, especially as coming from another perspective and from another country. What are your thoughts about that in terms of its threat to both space discovery and science and knowledge, and really in terms of the United States being in the past leaders in these areas?
So in terms of when there's some sort of disruption to any type of work that is being done, people tend to find a way to get it done anyway. So not being able to do the work that they want to do here, there's still other countries that are doing it. So yeah,
Detrimental to the United States.
Yeah, that's it.
When there was the whole, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Charlotte, but when there was the whole nuclear race, the scientists weren't necessarily just American, were they? They came from all these different countries to come over here. So if another country is showing that they're in the lead and they're willing to hire and pay for scientists, then I'm assuming scientists will go where there's jobs. At least I go where there's jobs. So I'm assuming that other people would do that.
Yeah. Thank you for that answer, because I think it helps us to be hopeful. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Atlanta for a meeting. It was like a call to action, and they invited HIV prevention researchers on different levels to Atlanta to really to sort of energize them to work together collectively to pick up the slack where the money that's being cut from NIH, to continue that work that's so important for the Black community, right?
Absolutely.
If you can't believe, you hear the stories if you're paying attention, but when you're in a room full of the most prominent scientists in HIV prevention of all racial and ethnic backgrounds saying they've had $15 million budgets cut, they're working on HIV vaccines, they're working on HIV treatment, they're in developmental stages, and that money has just been slashed. That is it's very disheartening. It can cause worry and concern and hopelessness, but in that room, people were well, we have to take care of ourselves and take care of our community. And so what you're saying is just sort of mirroring what the people in that room said, right? We have to stop being, dependent on relying on somebody to take care of us. We have to kind of take care of ourselves. Yeah, so I love that.
To follow on that, in terms of the United Nations being there last week, there were difficulty with certain people being able to attend because of finances, and restriction regarding finances. But also some of those people that were restricted still did it themselves. The one thing that comes to mind is accessibility though. Like you're able to do it if you have the resources, but if you're someone trying to say break into like break down the barriers and actually get into something, that's when it's like most difficult. Because whilst someone that already has money can still do something, or has the right connections can just do something, it's harder for those that are just getting in. So I do think that right now we probably would like be heavily reliant on organizations that are about accessibility. But I do think that like community work and just like communities in general should be like trying to help out one another.
Mhm.
Kind of playing off of Sheldon's question, because I'm also concerned with how they're cutting back on just the climate initiatives, and also just in light of the fact that they're going to disband female. And then on topic, what disaster movie do you think is the most realistic? What should we expect? Like, which movie did you watch recently or at any time where you're like, this might be how it happens. This might actually be the way that we all go.
So not recently, like quite a while back, but I do feel like it's still a good movie. So a bit of context, my birthday is 19th of December and my sister's the 20th, and we tend to have a party either the day before my birthday or the day after her birthday. So I think the world was meant to end on like the 21st of December, 2012, or it was the 12th. There was many different rumors, but we had a party on the 21st. And at the end of that, we decided to put on the movie, and we'd already watched it before, but it was just like along the theme of 2012. Do you remember that movie?
I remember the title, but I never saw it.
Yeah, not I don't remember the details though, but I remember liking it.
Where the world froze or something, or am I thinking about the wrong one?
It's still a bit muffled in my mind as well, but it's the one where
was that with Jake Gyllenhaal? Was he in that movie?
I feel like he was. No.
It's the one with like a writer and his like, yes, exactly. And his ex-wife and kids, and then the ex-wife has a new husband, like a new boyfriend or husband.
Yeah.
And then he's just trying to like get his kids to a good place.
To the shelter, right, or something?
Yeah. And the reason why I think it's always going to be such a good movie is the way that, for one, it shows like the scientists at the beginning, like it's very much to do with like the scientist that is like worried, and then no one's really listening until it's like too late. And then it goes into like the whole family aspect, and like I've had many moments where, because like my family live across like all of Europe and then also across the pond.
Yeah.
That I always think of like, how on earth would I try and save everyone, you know? And then also the aspect of like there being a shelter built by like built by the 1%, and it's almost impossible for everyone to be saved. I think it does have a bit of like everything for a disaster movie. And I used to say to my little brother that if I become an astronaut, I'd make sure that I like save him a seat. I think it's very much on that, like there's not a seat for everyone, you know?
Right.
Scarcely.
Right.
I mean, listen, we talked about
if you were in charge of picking who would be in that shelter.
Oh Jesus! Who
would you?
He's like,
what people? I'm not saying specific names.
The four people
I'm not saying
in this
specific
podcast,
names.
only 3 of you are going to be. I'm not. Because
No,
we're not
listen. No. I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying,
I think he's thinking
what
about
I'm saying is,
I think
what type of people would you be looking for to save the world after the flood is over, or after the asteroid incinerates, New York City? Like, what kind of people are you hoping are in that shelter?
Question for that ass, isn't it? That's crazy. That's a crazy question.
I mean, it was a theme of paradise, right? Like that is
Be
what
careful
paradise is all about, right?
That's the thing. So, like me personally, or like what I
No,
think
from you as a scientist, a person that sees the data, knows what's coming, knows what we'll need to rebuild. What kind of people are you looking
They
for?
have to be young people.
That's the thing.
Right?
So,
I don't
as
know.
a
Some.
scientist, I was thinking like my
Some of them.
first thought was to make sure that there's one of each type of people throughout the world. Like to make sure that all the languages were preserved, like to make sure that it's not just like, oh, we go for the top, like the most intelligent people in the world, and then some people have been systemically like left out of certain subjects that we might not have everyone, you know. But like a lottery ticket
super
for,
important then that the people that are making that decision, some of them look like you, I think, right?
yeah, because I don't think everyone would think like that instantly.
Not at all. That's the first thing I thought when you said that. I'm like, they're definitely not wanting all people to be
No.
represented in that bunker.
Absolutely.
But
For
listen,
sure.
listen.
No DEI.
This
Yeah.
was the theme of Paradise, though, right? Like
Exactly.
the
I
theme
was
of
thinking Noah's
Paradise
Ark.
Yeah.
was like,
right.
who should we select to go with like if the world ended, right? Was it diverse in terms of, I don't know what the source material looked like, but was it diverse in terms of who they selected? I think there was some diversity, right? Like, but I don't think that people think about the diversity of ideas that come from people from different backgrounds, right? And especially when you see these movements right now with like it's almost saying like, you know, diversity and inclusion has no value. And I have to remind, you know, today, like in my class, we were talking about culture, and I had to remind students, I'm like, the United States was built off of diversity and a diversity of ideas, and the diversity of ideas from people coming from all around the world that helped to shape this into what it is, right? So if we were shaping a new world, you would want that diversity of many variations.
It helps with
right?
innovation.
Yeah, but
right.
they want to forget that people built this country.
But that's the flaw. That is what's going to lead to the decline in the United States, right? You think about like hot dogs or hamburgers, okay, fine, right? But then when you think about stuff like jazz, like you know what I mean, like soul food, right? Like country music, like that came from a group of people who were enslaved, right? Like who, right? You think about Native Americans, all these things are the things that made America amazing and incredible. And so if you started a new world and you like left out these parts, you'd be leaving out like a lot of possibility for innovation.
Be great again,
right? You leave out innovation, I think, and I think that's that's why you need people color in STEM. You need diversity in STEM, right? Because
absolutely, yeah,
you're missing a part, like the initiative that you guys have, like looking at the global South, right? Because when you think about the climate crisis, the challenges that the South, the global South is facing is because of the global North, right? The developed countries who have like exploited and like used all their resources and exploited the resources from the South, right? And like sort of delivered waste on this country and to the global South. You know, it's crazy. Like that's the solution, though, right?
Yeah,
so that's why the work that you guys are doing is so important.
What about that movie with Matt Damon? The one where there's like that spaceship, that satellite that's in this, that where all the 1% live on.
Yeah, Martian.
And everybody else, not the Martian. The one where like Jodie Foster is living on the space station above the Earth.
Interstellar?
No, it's a movie where he wears a mech suit that they screw into his arms and stuff.
I just like that movie so much. I don't remember the name of
it. Yeah, it's that one.
Why did you dislike it? So why did you dislike it, Dana?
I don't. It just didn't do any. I can't even give you details of it. I just remember watching it. Maybe because it was so green screened to death. You know, I just couldn't get into it.
So I think the reason why I was asking about that movie was because how far are we? Because I don't know if you've seen that movie, Chaneil, but it's essentially all the rich people live on the satellite that orbits the Earth, and everybody else. Elysium, boo.
Yeah, I used to like that one when I was younger.
Yes. Did you like it?
I did like it because, again, the whole class disparity aspect of it. Like, in showing that like some things would be inaccessible, like unless there's a phrase that a lot of black astrophysicists use is we don't want to bring colonization to space.
Wow.
And so
I got a great question for you, by the way. Speaking of,
but that's exactly that. Like that's colonized. It was colonizing the moon, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were trying to colonize the moon, but they also had this ship that they were living on, I think, on the interim.
Yeah.
And where they had it was spinning so that it could kind of simulate.
This is a conversation I was having with Brendan. So when like he was asking like what movies, like what sci-fi doesn't make sense to you, and then I was like,
great question.
or what movies would you think are not like necessarily like scientific, and I was like, any scientific.
She came right at one of my favorites, like from the beginning. I was like, and she said, I was like, oh my god.
What is
so
it?
Basically, any space movie, and it's not like that I don't like them. I'll watch them, but like my natural reaction as an astrophysicist when I see a space movie where they're walking around, it doesn't make any sense because, like, have you guys watched when like they're out and about? They're floating,
like
you know?
like on Star Trek, they walk around the ship.
Yeah, because there's like not as much gravity up.
There's no mechanism.
ISS and stuff like that. The way in which you'd be able to get gravity is like by making a mechanism where you generate your own gravity. And a lot of the time, the movies don't explain that. They just like have someone like walking around, and that's that. They don't have an explanation.
Give us an example of the movie, and then I want to ask you about is it space? It's not SpaceX. I want to ask you about the Jeff.
The launch.
Yeah, the
Amazon. You guys are asking.
Right, I just want to get your thoughts on it. I mean, we're talking about space flight. We have to, right? We got to talk about it, right? A little bit. I know.
So we'll come back to that.
Okay.
We'll definitely come back to that. But can you remind me what the last one was?
The realism in space, walking around, etc., etc., etc.
And which movie, like, you automatically like you hate because of like it's unrealistic?
I don't hate. To be honest, like sci-fi is always going to be like a love of mine. So I'm not like it takes a lot for me to hate it.
But what's your favorite sci-fi movie?
Oh, thing is, I also really like horror and thriller. So Sigourney Weaver back there, one of my favorite actors. Yeah. So I love the Alien franchise, like love. That one's easier to answer than the one that I hate, actually. Like I can name it, like list a bunch, but then I can't really list which ones I hate. But
what's your favorite Alien movie? Do you have one?
I would say Aliens. Yeah.
The second one.
Out of all of them, yeah.
James Cameron.
I'm gonna say this one, but not necessarily like I love all of them. Like I actually, as soon as I said it, I want to watch the whole thing. But one that brings fond memories, which is so silly, and I know I'm putting this on the podcast, but my uncle in England is just gonna have to deal with it. So my dad was we're around my uncle's house with all of my dad's brothers and my granddad. And my granddad used to be a Rasta. This is on my dad's side. And my granddad used to be a Rasta with the long dreads and everything. And most recently, he doesn't have the dreads. And we have one joker uncle. Like, he is an absolute joker. And we were watching Aliens versus Predator. And then one of the Predators came, their shield came off. They were visible and stuff. And imagine 10 brothers surrounding this and all of us little cousins watching. And then my uncle was like, "Return of the Garfield." And then, like, literally, that's my granddad's name. And everyone looked at my granddad like, oh no, because of the dreads, you know? So, like, whenever I look at the dreads from Predator, I think of my granddad in his rusty years.
That's pretty badass.
That's funny.
That's my granddad.
Yeah.
Did you say, I don't know if you've ever seen Predator 2 with Danny Glover, but there's legit rosters in that.
Okay. Yeah.
Legit rosters in that. Yeah. It's one of the bad, the scene is gory, but it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. Shell, you had a question? You right?
I did want to, but I don't know if we, you know what, I withdraw my question because I don't know if we want to give it any space or time. Like,
how about this real quick? How about this real quick to that? They went up there and they said they're astronauts. Are they astronauts now?
Well, you're an astronaut.
Because by virtue of just going up there and coming back, are you now an astronaut?
I'm gonna answer for her and say no.
I'm just
Absolutely
saying. I just wanted to hear from the astrophysicist, but I would agree with you. But I don't know because I've never been up there, so I don't know. I never trained to go up there. I've never been up there. So I don't know if by virtue of going once, you could call yourself that.
And the reason why I brought it up is just because of your viewpoint about like these, people who are privileged, right? Like being able to access, right? You talked about Elysium and these people able to access space. And then you got the nerve to be talking about dumping garbage in space. Like it's just so, I just wanted to get your thoughts about it, like.
So I have mixed feelings about it. Yes. Like people at the UN, like every single person that found out that I was astrophysicist was asking me these questions.
Okay, so we're on.
Yeah. In terms of accessibility, yes, it was not a mission about accessibility. That was not their aim. In terms of calling them astronauts, I don't quite remember the definition of an astronaut, but I assume it's you've been to space. So like if they've been to space, so I wouldn't take that away from them. It's like going up to someone that has a PhD, and Sheldon, I'm sure you'd say this. So going up to someone with a PhD and being like, "Are you a doctor?" It's like, well, the definition of a doctor,
right? But like the difference in your like what you're saying is that like I do have training in something, and none of those women on that mission had training in it.
Katy Perry said they were bringing the ass in an astronaut. Come on.
Oh, did she say that?
I didn't make that up.
Oh my God.
That's reality.
Two of the women that went up, I will get their names. Aisha Bow and Amanda, I always say this surname badly, but Nyangam? No, how do you say it?
Nguyen. Yeah.
But basically, Aisha and Amanda are both like actual, like Aisha is a rocket scientist, a former NASA rocket scientist, and also first Bahamian up in space. Woman.
Okay.
Yeah. I have her on LinkedIn actually.
Nice.
And then Amanda is a bioastronautics expert. So both of them are like
astronauts.
Yeah, they've been doing this before.
Yeah.
And then what I've seen is like in like media, what everyone has been saying, especially in the space community, is that by us saying that these lot are not astronauts, we're also diminishing these women of color who are like they've put in years of effort to be considered what they are. The other three, they like they're very public. That's all I gotta say is that they are well-known people, which bring attention to certain like things basically. So
I don't honestly I don't have a problem with it if they were to take that money and also be working on stuff down here, but it just looks to me like a vanity project, and I find it super irritating. Like I know that the goal is to get to Mars and the goal is to get to the moon, but reasonably speaking, that's people living on Mars is quite some time away. Tell me if I'm wrong with that.
Yeah.
Because not only you have to get there, but then you have to build
The
a settlement
atmosphere.
there, and it's literally a one-way ticket, right, for a bit, because you'd
Right.
have to also send your mechanism to get back, but that makes it harder to get there, right? So you're gonna have to. So how many years in the future you think it would be where you think we would be safely on Mars, where Matt Damon will be out there trying to get back, and we would be able to get a ship to him to get him back? You know, like how far in the future is that? Are we gonna live to see that?
I don't know. Like maybe. But that's the thing. Like we need to go back to the moon first. Like we need to do.
Well,
a whole
I can
bunch
see
of
us going
stuff.
to the moon. I think that's more likely, right?
Yeah.
But the Mars thing with Elon wanting to go to Mars, how do you feel about that?
You should go.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's very aspirational. If he does it, then well done him, you know?
You should go soon.
Yeah.
By the way, the astronaut for our audience is a person who is trained to travel and work in space. Astronauts conduct missions about spacecrafts, space stations, or during extracurricular activities in such as spacewalks. So yes, 2 of them would be astronauts. 2 of them would be what? The other 2 are participants.
I don't know.
Never girlfriends. I don't know.
No, because Jeff Bezos' wife, I swear she's she knows how to do like a helicopter pilot and stuff.
Okay.
Like she's actually a very just because this is so random, but I got like a Vogue or a Elle magazine where it was an interview of her, and she seemed like she was really into space, and that's probably what like her and Jeff like bonded over, you know.
So if we talked about the Fermi paradox, right? If we were to encounter an alien species, let's just say, because you said to say Aliens was one of your favorite movies, what do you think the odds are that they just want to eat us?
Oh, that's so funny.
Like, will they be will they actually? You think the odds are that they would actually want to communicate with us, or are we so primitive that they would just be like, or maybe they would just ignore us and not try to eat us? I'm hoping they would just ignore us.
I think, and I've said this before, like on BBC Radio 1, actually, at 1 Extra. I think that if they come here, they're way more intelligent than us because they've actually managed to get to a different planet with other living species that we wouldn't even have to worry if they're going to eat us. Do you get what I mean? Like, in terms of like, we won't be in control.
Yeah.
Why do you worry about stuff that you're not in control of? You know?
And they're probably way too smart to want to eat us. You know what I mean? Like, especially
Right.
Americans. They're like,
they see what we exactly.
We eat a lot of things that are not smart.
You're right. They're like, oh, they're not gonna eat that. They're like processed. Yeah. Talk about our favorite space movie, I guess.
Pardon?
What was the one from last year? The new Alien movie. Did you like that?
Oh, that was okay.
Oh, I've forgotten the name now because I was about to say I even like Prometheus, which is one of that like.
Oh, you like Prometheus?
I do. I kind of like.
You know what, William? Even though that story had a lot of flaws, it became so ridiculous. You know, first of all, that engineers couldn't find their way through a tube to get back. That like they just lost. Anyway, and then we're not going to talk about the whole surgery she had, and then 2 minutes later she's running.
It's space surgery. Hello, space surgery.
But I will say, visually, it was a beautiful movie, especially the beginning. I thought it was beautiful. But that is a movie that I can watch Aliens 1 through 4 all the time. Anytime it comes on TV, I can watch it. That one I can't watch. The original Alien. Do you know? I even remember because what was that? 79. I remember being in my parents' bedroom, and we had like a little they had a little black and white TV on top of their dresser. And I remember trying to, because there was no remote control back then. And so I was flipping channels and I saw this commercial, and it was just space. And then the words, "In space, they can't hear you scream," or something like that. Then the egg
no one can hear you scream.
I'm like, what the hell is this? But I was intrigued. But I was too young to go, to the movie, so I had to wait for it to, come on TV or cable or whatever. But so yeah, I will always love the original Alien. I mean, it was so intense. Script, the cat, Sigourney Weaver,
when it came out as well. Yeah, especially considering when it came out, there wasn't that many like gory, like to that extent where it actually. that could come out today and you'd think that it was actually made in 2025.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think. That's what I love about it the most. How it was made, when it was made, and the fact that it still grabs you to this day.
Yeah.
I can't say that for a lot of recent movies.
I like the new one.
I'll challenge you to. So another one of my favorite sci-fis and more like fantasy, Avatar.
Okay.
I was gonna say Avatar as one that I like. Yeah. Why do you like Avatar?
Why Avatar? Yeah.
Well, again, I'm very into politics and stuff, so like the whole
It's very political.
potential Pocahontas type of narrative. But also the fact that it was so otherworldly and you really got to be submersed into a different culture. Like I felt like I traveled with it. You know, like I felt, when I watched it, I felt like I traveled. Yeah.
The newest one is amazing. Like
I still haven't seen it. I still
you like the newest one better than the original, Brendan?
It was bananas. There's
I haven't seen it yet.
Me
There's
either.
a scene where they're in the water and they're swimming with the creatures in the sea. That stuff looks like it's straight out of National Geographic. It is crazy.
Crisp.
I remember seeing it in IMAX and just I was just stunned. I couldn't believe it wasn't real. And
you felt like you were like in. You felt like you were in like a tank or something.
I was completely immersed.
Oh,
I was completely immersed.
That's cool.
There's a time, and I'll tell you the image, but you'll see it when you see it. But there's just like a swimming image of one of the Naboo with one of the large whale-like creatures like from underneath, and he's like swimming with it. It is one of the most beautiful images I've seen in cinema in a long time. And I was just like, I go back and I just watch that scene where they're swimming with the creatures because it's so incredible. And you can tell that James Cameron really loves aquatic creatures and loves the ocean and like put his heart and soul into those scenes because it looks phenomenal. You got to watch it. Even if you're not a fan of the story or whatever, it's worth it to see because it's so well presented. Like you are in it. And I do feel like it's better than the original. I do.
Okay, I definitely will check that out because I have not watched it, and I don't know
it's
what
really
because I like the first one a lot. And actually, when
you didn't want to ruin it, maybe.
I think it was super long, and I was just like, but just based on what you two say, I definitely will check it out. Brendan, what's yours? You still haven't told us yet.
Yeah,
because I have a few, but I'm going to reference like a really obscure one. It came out in like 1999. It was directed by Alex Proyas, who's the guy that directed The Crow, which is another one, which is one of my favorite movies, The Crow. It's called Dark City.
I saw Dark City.
Dark City, and it was about. I can give it away. It came out in 1999, I think. But essentially, you're going. Spoilers. If you have never seen or heard of this movie, it's called Dark City. You can tune out. 3, 2. Okay, so give yourself like 30 seconds. Go grab a drink or something. So essentially, there's this guy who's like living in the city. It kind of looks like New York City, but all those, it kind of looks like an amalgam of different cities. And he meets someone, and then he realizes he's being chased by these guys. They're chasing him like all over the city, and all these guys have like pale faces. They wear the like just black, jet black. They look very strange, and they're chasing him around this entire city. And he just goes around and he's discovering these clues about this person that he met, and then about reality around him. And then at some points, the city starts to change and move while he's moving through it, and it's like he's in a trap. So it turns out that he's on a spaceship, and it's like a human zoo, and he's being chased by the aliens who command the ship. Right, and there's like some other political things that are going on at the same time. But it's called Dark City, directed by Alex Proyas. I think it didn't make a lot of money. I think it made like maybe $20 million, something like that.
Wait, so did you see this at the theater, or you discovered it later on?
I went to the theater to see it.
Really, Chaneil? Did you know this movie?
To be honest, I was about the same age. This was before.
I mean, have you heard of it?
No,
I haven't.
No, Dark City. Put it up.
Wow, I never heard of it.
I'll remember the name of the actor, but the acting is phenomenal, and it's just trippy. Like it's trippy. You watch it and you're like,
sounds good.
What the hell? I feel bad that I told you the ending, but it's okay because as you watch it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's more for the journey, isn't it?
Yeah. That is one of my favorite science fiction. I'm sorry, space movies. I think we talked about another episode. I'd said 2001: Space Odyssey, just because of how it looked like how I imagined space would feel. And I think I told you guys one of the things about it is it was one of the first times I realized, because I grew up, I saw Star Wars in the theaters and pew pew and the lasers and and then lately in contemporary movies, Leia can get sucked out into space and come back alive. Like it's not. I'm sorry. So it's like weird.
I think
like
you're the one who hates Star Wars.
I
think it's you.
I don't hate. I don't.
No,
hate
I
Star
think
Wars.
it's Dana the one who hates Star Wars.
Right.
I want Star Wars.
The last 3 ones, I will never watch those again. But the first 6, I could watch all the time. Brendan
She likes the original 3, the original 6. She likes.
I like the.
That's the thing. That I have only watched the first ones as well. I haven't watched the new ones.
I like the collective story. I do like the collective story. I love a historical context, and I feel like the later ones give you historical context.
I like it. I just feel like the execution on the later ones was kind of, meh. But listen, I will say though, in that first scene in that, I'm skipping around. I'll go back to the last point. But in that first scene where I think it was Kylo Ren freezes the phaser beam like in midair. You've never seen that in Star Wars before. I don't think. I don't think anybody had stopped the laser before. So I'm like, whoa, that's some new force powers. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Good job. Was that JJ? I think that was JJ.
Nobody meant it. Go ahead. Go.
But back real quick, and we'll go back to show. 2001: Space Odyssey was the first time I actually looked at something and went, "Oh my God, space is dangerous."
Yeah.
Right. Because they die so easily out there. Like one just gets disconnected and is just gone. And for me, I'm terrified. I'm like, he's just gonna float out there forever, just going out into space, screaming like forever until he dies. That's bananas.
No, but that's a kind of cool way to go, though, right?
No, how's that cool?
No, doesn't your brain compress and no? I don't know if that's a good way to go at all.
That is terrifying.
That's a horrible.
Terrifying.
Okay, so if that happens, seriously, how long basically would they have to live? It wouldn't be forever. So
the air in your suit, right?
Yeah, it depends on if they've cracked their screen on their face, then they're gone instantly. If they run out of air, to be honest, you'd want to be the one that had the crack, a cracked.
Exactly. Remember that scene from Event Horizon?
Because you just freeze, basically.
Right. Right.
But then,
right. So it won't be forever. So it would be cool. Come on, Brendan. That'd be cool.
I couldn't. I'm not sure I could crack my screen.
Did you feel that way about the movie Gravity? Because that's one of the very few newer ones that I actually liked. Did you like Gravity? It was terrible. People were getting dizzy watching that movie, and people had to leave because it was so.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Gravity. I just didn't think it was very realistic, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
You didn't think it was realistic.
Why did you not think it was realistic?
Yeah.
I thought it was really weird how she could. How do you maneuver yourself so precisely between objects that are floating? It's not like the objects were moving together, right? So doesn't it take a great deal of math to be able to go from one thing to the other while in orbit? And they didn't do any of that. They just kind of went like 1, 2. They would be floating past the Earth, right? I don't know. That for me, that I just thought that was kind of, I thought the way George Clooney died was believable. But I think she should have died too, in my understanding of how things should go. But you tell me, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It's very hard to make these type of calculations, and even when you're doing them with high predictability, you sometimes do the calculation wrong. Talking about calculations, there's a series on Netflix called The Free Body Problem, and that one's really good.
Tell us about that one real quick. I started watching the first episode, but I haven't gone back to it. So what am I missing?
So
you got a 3-body problem on Netflix right now, guys. If you've seen it, comment in the comments. Let us know if everybody else should be watching it. I've watched one episode. People seem to like it. So if you like it, please comment.
So it's about physicists at, I think it's either Oxford or Cambridge. They have to basically solve for, I think it's the end of the world, but then like it's also to do with like this lady getting given like there's a time that keeps them coming up, like a countdown, and it just shows up in her brain. They involve government, they involve internationalness. It's just very good. I don't know how to describe it without giving too much away. But it's very good. And then there's another one that kind of reminds me of it as well, called, I think it's called the Lazurus Project, but that one's like way more British. Yeah.
Okay.
The Lazurus Project.
Anything like the movie?
So it's I don't know actually. I haven't watched, but maybe. I assume it's the same name.
What's the movie about? Lazarus? Is there a Lazarus Project movie?
Maybe it's not Lazarus. It's Lazarus something. Maybe it's not Project. I'm sorry. Continue.
I think it might be though, because I do remember seeing something along the same lines. But the Lazurus Project is actually very similar to a movie. Like I had come up with quite a few different movies that I've written down in my notes, and they actually were very close to what I had put there. So I was really happy to watch it. But it's about basically time travel. Like I personally, I think like they're both excellent series, but I would put the Lazurus Project higher because it involves like the spies. It involves like time travel. It involves like physicists like CERN and all of that type of stuff. And then like if you mess with like it's amazing. It's amazing. So they're both like to do with physicists, but the Lazurus Project is more spy related, and the second one is more like you'll watch it. I definitely recommend watching it, and then I'd like to hear your opinions on it after.
Shell, did you say yours?
No, I don't know if I did, but I'm like I typed in space films, and I realized I feel like I should lose my like blurred card, like because I haven't seen a lot of these movies that they have on the list. Actually,
what?
I mean, seriously, like I haven't seen Interstellar, I haven't seen Gravity, I haven't seen Contact, I haven't seen like a lot of those movies. I haven't seen.
What about older ones like The Thing and what else?
I mean, I typed up a list of like
Dune.
Oh, so that's the one I was going to bring up that you guys
Encounters
didn't talk about, which I'm surprised.
Encounters, ET,
which was like Dune. You guys didn't talk about Dune. No one brought up Dune as one of your favorite films. So here's what I'll say. In general, I kind of like I love Aliens 2. I loved Aliens 2, and I loved Aliens 3. I think I liked Aliens 3 because like The Rock was in it. Charles Dutton, right? Do you remember Charles Dutton from Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I love.
You're talking about Dwayne Johnson. I was about to disconnect from this podcast.
Oh my God, dear God! I thought we already had commentary from that about the Halloween, the holiday episode. We already know where we stand. No, Charles S. Dutton from the television show Rock, right? The critically acclaimed television show Rock. But so I love 2 and I love 3. And but I do like the second installment of Dune. We all saw the second installment of Dune together, if you remember last year. It was quite right. Yeah, but in general, I kind of like the Star Trek movies, some of them. The ones that were done by J.J. Abrams, I didn't mind them so much,
Yeah, I didn't mind.
I didn't like the last
one.
I just have a desire to watch them again.
You said you just have no desire to ever watch them again.
I like them, but just going back to how I can watch certain movies, but I really did. I like the Star Trek movies. I like Chris Pine, so I like them.
Yeah, I like Chris Pine. I like the Wrath of Khan. I thought that was great. Love Search for Spock. I like that. I like that franchise.
Home with the whales.
Yes. I like the franchise in general. But when I look at the list of all the like space films. I'm like, wow, there are a lot of these that I haven't seen.
You haven't. So it's not your jam. Ish.
It's like not my jam-ish. It's like, yeah, I'll see some of them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it doesn't call out to me immediately. Like even with Avatar, which I thoroughly enjoyed the first one. I really loved it. It was like I was not like clamoring to go and see the second film, and that's kind of surprising. And so I gotta review why I've been so slow to jump on the space films.
But I completely relate. Sorry.
What's that?
I actually do relate because I haven't watched any of the Dunes. Like I want to watch them, but something is kind of like pulling me back from space movies nowadays. But throughout that, like I was thinking of other space movies that came out like a number of years ago, not like recent movies. Have you watched The Arrival?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
so
yes is one no.
Sheldon, I feel like you'd like that one because it's very much about like languages and interpreting the like sociology of an alien,
It was really
as we're talking throughout,
that's Delos Villeneuve too, right? The director, the guy that did Blade Runner, the new one. The guy that did Dune. The new one.
And as we're talking, I realize even what you shared with us about your career and stuff, I realize my connection with space, even my fascination with Star Trek, right, is around people and discovery and like the sociological aspects of it. It really is. As you were talking, I'm like, yeah, I get where you're coming from. But even when I think about Star Trek and I think about Next Generation, like I love Picard because of how he uses his intelligence to deal with different species of life forms. Like I love that, right? Even with Deep Space Nine, because we're kind of veering into television now, right? The thing that I loved about Deep Space Nine is like it should seemingly be this like kind of boring show that sits on the edge of a wormhole, but like the whole like dealing with the interactions that's taking place through this bridge, like I freaking love that stuff. So I think that's what it is about these space movies. I am thinking about
the psychological part.
Yeah, like, and I never really fully examined that before, but those are the parts that are like fascinating. Even if we took it to superhero movies or whatever, like Superman or like that, like there's a scene where like in one of the animation films where it's like Superman and Lobo and Martian Man are like talking about like they're the only ones left in their
the only ones left of their kind,
aliens of their kind, and they're like, I'm like, that's fascinating to me. So I guess that's my linkage to space movies and space travel. I gotta explore that, and I gotta look at the ones that have those kind of relationships, those interactions in them.
So
what about one more? Sorry, I just thought of one. District 9. Hello, there we go. I'm sorry. I love District 9. Jesus, I love it. And Attack. Dear God, what's wrong with me? Yes,
I don't know.
That's it. Those two with the
Yeah.
like in John. What's his name? Star Wars wannabe.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Who? Oh, John Boyega?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Love that Attack the Block for that. That was great.
Attack the Block is great. Yeah.
Check that out.
I was wrong about Contact. Contact was not the movie.
Attack the Block was such like
I've seen about
as a Black British person from South London, that was an amazing movie. Like,
That's why I mean I'm not a Black British person, but that's why I love the film. I was like,
speaking of which, do you like the Black Mirrors? I know you like the Black Mirrors, right?
Ooh.
What's your favorite episode? Is there like a space episode of Black Mirror?
Yeah,
the last episode of this season. Yes.
Yeah.
The continuation from last season. The SS, what is it called? I have to
Is
look
it
it up.
Interstellar? Hold on, I should have.
No, it's
no. That's isn't it called the SS? Some.
Yes, SS. I gotta look it up.
Okay, but let's talk.
Whilst you're looking it up, can I quickly suggest 2 movies to you, Sheldon?
Yes.
So one is High Life, and it's rated 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is always good. And it's Robert Pattinson, who he always does the most strange movies until he did Batman recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically it says Monty and his baby daughter are the last survivors of a damned and dangerous mission to the outer reaches of the solar system. And it's basically just him alone, kind of like in a parental type of role.
Mhm.
And then the other one, which I feel like you might have watched, is called Sunshine.
I love that movie.
Right? It's really good. And they're basically
Cillian Murphy, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. And that one is like the sun, I think, is like burning out. Like it's like really huge. And they have to basically deliver a payload to like, I think it's like make it the sun go smaller, like make it like less bright. But it's definitely way more scientific than that. They definitely went quite into detail. It's very good. But that one also plays on the whole like religious aspect, like psychological, and also talk about like God complexes and all of that type of stuff.
Okay. High Life and Sunshine. I'll check them out. Yeah.
I like,
You know
Andre
Speaking
2000's
of-
in that High Life, right?
Is he really?
Andre 2000's in High Life.
Oh, that's a good segue.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, true.
Segue.
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson, he just released a new space film, and
Yeah.
it failed
Mick-
miserably.
Mickey 13
No,
or
I
something.
heard it was getting a lot of buzz.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I heard
wanna watch
I heard it was
it.
good, but nobody wanted to go see it.
Nobody wanted to go see it, and I was so confused as to why that movie didn't do well. I didn't go
I
see
think
it.
maybe it's because there was other movies at the same time. I think sometimes it's just like who it's competing with. But I saved it to watch it, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely want to see that.
Let's shift it back to Black Mirror though. Like what episodes, I mean space related, there's a new season of Black Mirror out. It's season 6, right? If you haven't watched it before, don't know what rock you've been sleeping under, but it's anthology,
Dwayne Johnson.
right? So, a sci-fi anthology series on Netflix. I'm a big fan of it. I think it just deals with sci-fi really well, but it has a lot of different themes on it. I think the themes are like around technology specifically, right? But
Yeah.
what are some of your
That space episode was USS
Callister? Yes.
I think the second space episode was actually better than the first one.
I couldn't get through
1,000%.
I could not get through the
1,000%. It
first
was
one.
much better.
It was so hard for me to get through, and it's funny because while I was in Costa Rica, I was trying to, I was using my VPN. Oh, maybe I should shut up, but Netflix not watching though, right? I was trying to use my VPN so I could watch it in Costa Rica, and I got through with the first 5, but I couldn't watch that one. So I'm glad to hear that you guys think it was better than the first. Why do you think it was better than the first?
Just like the concepts of right and wrong, and them kind of having to be not vagabonds, but like survival of what does surviving mean when you're not actually a human, like a living, breathing human, you know? And it played again with the social constructs of it, because they are these clones, they're digital clones, and it's illegal in their world because of them like not basically having autonomy. So because the way that the clones started was to do with like trafficking and all of that type of stuff. So it is like it plays on very interesting themes.
Yeah, and also
it's really, I mean, it's not for everybody, if you're not into that kind of sci-fi, because it's very fantasy.
What that episode or the show?
That particular episode, especially the second episode that we're speaking of now from this season. Real quick, because we're running out of time. So just to cap. So, of the Black Mirror episodes, actually, you know what? We'll do that for a whole other.
Yeah, because that's gonna be a completely different direction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but maybe somebody on.
I want to go back real quick to where's the safest place to live if an asteroid hits the planet?
Oh no, start digging. But
how much time do we need? Like, how much time do we need? How about that? How about that?
To be honest, if I'm gonna show
Just
my
accept
bias.
your fate.
Stop it.
I was gonna say another thing that you, like, why you think about the things you can't control. But I'm gonna show my bias. I grew up in Geneva, in Switzerland, and because Switzerland is neutral but also very paranoid, they all have bunkers. So like every apartment you live in, there's bunkers downstairs. In fact, my house that I had my 18th birthday in, we did the 18th birthday in the bunker, and I had my friends come with their band and everything like that. So if you're in Switzerland, like, you're probably a bit safer than anywhere else.
That's good to know. See, guys, you learn stuff here.
We used to build bunkers here until they privatize it. Now they're like, oh, build a bunker.
I know, and I told our secret.
That is,
but I wanted to mention another series, American Horror Story. Do you guys remember the Asylum season?
Yeah.
Even though it's about a mental asylum, like that's what they called it.
Oh yeah.
They also have aliens in that.
That's right.
Yeah. That was a great series. That was a great year for that particular series.
For that show, yeah.
Yeah, for that show. Thank you. I can't think because it's
it's so late.
But yeah, that was one of the last great seasons for American Horror Story.
Exactly.
Was that your favorite?
Me or
your season?
For me, no.
No, okay.
The Coven was my favorite one.
Exactly what I
was
interesting. Coven is also fun.
Because of who was in that season? Is that why it was your favorite? Like, that was the season with
Angela
Kathy Bates and Angela Bassett, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and Paul, what's her name? Paula.
Paula,
you know who I'm talking about. Just a great cat. I mean, the casting was just superb. Storylines were great.
In New Orleans, like the history.
People talk about that season quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, we're definitely going over, but I gotta ask. So we're to wind it out there. I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. These are just yes or no's. All right. Everybody can chime in, but Chaneil, this is for you first of all. First question: Star Wars or Star Trek, or other? Okay. All right. Everybody else, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. Come on. You know.
I just had to ask. Okay. All right. So we got 2 Star Treks and 1 Star Wars.
My shirt off. Told you, take it off.
I don't gotta take it off. I can be an appreciate. I can have appreciation for both. You know what I mean? I just like Star Trek better.
Absolutely.
For sociological, connections. Yes.
Get it.
Have aliens been here or not?
Oh.
Yes.
You mean, have they actually set foot on Earth, or are they
been on terra firma? Yes.
Have they been? Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I feel like if they're intelligent, then again, I can't give you a straight answer. There's no straight answer coming out of me.
Give me a percentage.
If they're intelligent, they might be very obvious to us, but also if they're intelligent, they might steer real clear. So they'll literally, we're not in control of it in this scenario.
Give me an odds for the people in the comments to debate. 50%, 70%.
I'm not going to give you my own personal odds, but I will say look up the Drake equation and also the Fermi paradox.
We'll put links to both in the comments in the description.
We didn't talk about the Apple show with what is it? Is it called Candy? Come on, guys, with Colin. What is this?
You brought it up.
Jeez, give me a minute. God, hold on.
All right,
go ahead, continue.
While you're looking it up, last question, and this is the last transition before we close it out. Daredevil or Batman?
Which one?
What do you mean? Which one?
Good question.
There's Daredevil from, isn't Elektra and Daredevil?
Yeah. with
Like,
Ben
back in the
Affleck.
day. Yeah.
Whoa. All right.
I said it's sugar,
All right.
guys.
So
That's the
let
name
me
of the show.
frame it this way. If there's a fight, who would you put your money on, Batman or Daredevil?
Daredevil, because it's given Matrix.
Daredevil too.
Wow, 2 Daredevils. What about you, D?
Batman, baby. Batman all day.
Me too. I think. Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
It's tough though, right?
I think
Those
Batman. I think Batman just because of the
I would
gadgets.
love to see that battle.
I think Batman just because of the gadgets. I think
Yep.
I think he has the edge because of the gadgets. But
The
Daredevil
show-
is badass. Did you guys like the new series? You guys like the
I
Daredevil?
haven't watched the
I
new series.
loved it.
I'm
I
going
loved it.
to
I loved it. It was great.
I loved it except for the last episode. I'm sorry. Like it was a very, the word you used was lackluster.
Lackluster. It was, yeah. It had some lackluster in it, but it did not take away for me for the
It
entire.
like built up to this thing, and then it just like
Yeah, and like I said, what's her name? Karen.
Page.
She just took up space that didn't need that. It served no purpose for me. I didn't get it, and I don't understand why. And I think she's the reason I did not watch the Netflix series. And I loved her in True Blood, so I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah,
but
I don't think they give her much to do. To be quite honest, they don't think they give her much to do.
Yeah,
and I think to your complaints about the ending, I feel the same thing, especially after the previous episode. But I think the ending was more so just like a setup for the next season. And I think if you're watching it, because I don't know if you remember, they said they were the first season was gonna be like 20 episodes or something crazy like that. I think they split the season. I think they cut it here, and there was supposed to be more coming, and they're gonna make that be the second season.
If they cut
Remember
it there,
that? They said it was gonna be a bunch of episodes.
If they cut it there, which is definitely a possibility, because it didn't feel like a finale to me.
No, at all.
Then they cut it in the wrong place. You understand?
Well, like Bridget said, it was more like
they cut it in the wrong place, because I was just like, that fight scene was amazing. I was like, damn, like, but then you're just like,
it took away for the series for you because of that last episode. It took away.
I don't know if it took away from it, but I don't think that's the way you end a season.
It wasn't a proper ending.
Tell me that's a mid-season, whatever, or hiatus
like
break or something. Right? But like, it did not feel right to me.
Yeah,
I invested a lot of time.
Especially now that we're going to have to wait 2 years.
Yeah, I feel like we put a lot of time in this 8-episode arc for it to end that way. I was not pleased with that. I wasn't.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, I had one more last question. Who's your favorite doctor?
As in, like,
what? Like Dr. Spock or
Doctor Who? Which doctor?
We have a lot of doctors in the family, so that felt a bit like
not family, unless we've got a Time Lord in there. No, who's your favorite Doctor Who?
David Tennant.
I mean, hello. I just had to hear you say it. It was great. Listen, thank you for coming on our podcast and
thank you for having
this
me.
Extra long. You guys got an extra long episode today. This might as well be an episode and a half. I just want to let you know that because you decided to do this for us, I got you a little something. It is beloved here for you to take back with you.
Thank you.
It was actually one of the books that was on that screenshot you sent me about books to read after you see Sinners, right?
Oh, I sent it to you, even though
you sent it to me, and I saw one of the books was this one.
You didn't read Beloved.
This one, Beloved, and then another one was.
I love that movie.
I can't see
what. Octavia Butler, Fledgling.
Oh, you got Fledgling. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But that's for me. That's for me. That's for my reading. This is for you. Because I did just see Sinners, and I don't want to say too much. And we'll close with this, but I will say this. It is probably one of the best movies I've seen in my life. I mean, this man has a gift.
There's so much to talk
that
about.
I can't
even.
Are
you serious?
This feels like a Daredevil.
One thing that he did for me was he illustrated to me that, and it's not a perfect movie by any means, but it is damn near close. And And one thing that he showed me is that just do what you want. Do what you want. Do not listen to the critics. Do not listen to the gatekeepers. Do not listen, especially as a creator or a scientist or a human of color that has things to express. Don't let people tell you what you cannot do. This movie doesn't have a genre. The man created a brand new genre. It's not just a horror movie. I can't wait for you guys to see it. There's a scene he uses. It made me kind of mad in a way because you guys know I'm writing a book. There's elements of he uses music in such a way that it is. There's a point where he uses music to kind of like denote different character types and archetypes, and then there's a moment in the movie where all these archetypes are kind of together. I'm not gonna tell you why. And individually, you get little pieces of their little themes. And then they get together, and then the whole theme morphs into this new theme. And it's within the context of the scene. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. I'm going to see it again. It is a visual, stunning masterpiece.
That sounds amazing.
It is Black excellence. It is sexy. It is, it is horrific. And Shell, if you tell me you like things that are about I don't want to say too much about history and about sociology and about holdovers from Jim Crow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This thing is
oh my goodness.
This thing is amazing.
Wow.
Well, you listen, I haven't read much about it at all because I don't want anything to like, I'm not a big thing about like spoilers or whatever. I don't care about that stuff, but I just want to have my own lens to watch the movie. Exactly. So that's why I haven't been listening to anything.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I do want to talk about at some point in time is like his structure for his deal with the industry, right? Like I think
I was gonna ask you guys about that.
That is what people have been commenting about the most, and it sounds like the way he has structured this deal is the problem that people have with the film, right? Because it sounds like he has done something.
I think it's that and the fact that it's good, guys.
Right,
and
like
they did not expect
your own films, and people, and it's good, and people sound like they pissed off because he's found a pathway, and it's like excellence, and they're like, what the F did you do? You done messed up everything, because we've been exploiting these people for so long, and now we got a filmmaker who's like carving his own path and showing people how to do it, and that's what they mad about. That's what I think is going on. I don't know. I gotta wait to see the film.
So do you think that's why Variety did what they did with that whole headline?
They try to diminish it.
Yeah, absolutely. Every headline that I've been seeing.
What happened?
They tried to diminish the film. They made like $45 million the first weekend, and they said that while it was a great take, they had some offhanded comment about how it wasn't yet profitable.
In the first weekend.
In the first weekend, it made 45.
I remember people saying that we want to get them to profit and being profitable within the first weekend.
Yeah.
They're hating that was because of Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
Wow.
Listen, it is wonderful. It is wonderful. And I left inspired. And after I read up on it after the fact, and I saw that he literally was like, this is my shot right now. I just made Black Panther. I just did this and this and this. He's like, this is my chance right now to make my movie. And to your point, Shell, he also said, this is my time to set my family legacy on this film. And the film kind of talks about that too. Yes. So it's kind of like this whole meta thing that's happening with this project. So I'm so looking forward to you guys seeing this.
Talk about Black wealth, creating Black wealth. Is that what you're...
Listen, I don't want to say too much.
Listen, look what happened with Lovecraft. Look what happened with Lovecraft Country.
Lovecraft was
Lovecraft was amazing.
It's a money grab. You better grab it because you might only get one shot. Look what's going on with Target. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
well, what's happening now is to your point, they're getting that. And the issue they're having with Sinners is that it's not just Black people going to see it. it wouldn't be doing this well if it was just black
Never
people.
was. With his movies, it never will be just black people going.
But
to
that's
see it.
what they
the formula.
assume,
They're
which is
mad
why they're
'cause they
mad.
never understood the formula, and he understood it, and he's telling
Yeah.
other people how to do it. That's why they mad. They're not like us.
And you can tell that it was intentional with him when you watch the movie and you look at the casting and how he focuses on the story. And to my last point before we cut this, it's so good because you forget it's a horror movie. It's almost analogous to From Dusk Till Dawn.
I was thinking that when I saw the visualization, I was thinking it.
You have that entire first half of the movie where you're like, this is amazing. This is a great story. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, vampire. Right. So it's like that kind of
so
thing.
Amped up.
Wow.
Like I'm getting all the.
It's like one of the first things.
Oh my God! I'm so excited. I'm so excited
Guys,
to see it.
This was fun.
It was
We got to do this again. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it remote with you from abroad.
we're doing it remote anyway, even though you're in the room right now.
Exactly. Right. But thank you for coming on. Let people know where they can find you and support Astro Noir and any other initiative that you're involved in.
Okay, so I have my Instagram, Chaneil James, ChaneilJames. I also have a Twitter under the same name and a LinkedIn under the same name. Then Astro Noir is ASTRONOIR. And we have astronoir.org, which is our website. We have an email that you can find online because I'm not going to say that out loud because you never know the bots. And then also we have an Instagram. And I also have my own shared Instagram with my fiance called Utopia, which is more about the Earth side. Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to.
So that's Utopia. UTOPITERRE. Utopia.
Everybody, please let us know where your tags are for Blue Sky. I mean,
if you're on Blue Sky, Shell, let people know where to find you, brother.
You can find me at on Instagram, Sheldon Applewhite. On Instagram, you can find me at Dr. S. Applewhite on Blue Sky, and Sheldon Applewhite on Facebook. That's it. Yeah.
All right, D.
You can find me on Instagram, Dana Deet, DANADEET. This nickname my daddy used to call me.
I like that. And I'm Brennan Hamilton, B Music Maker, all socials, that's where I am. My name, Brennan Hamilton, Brendan with an O. Quick question before we all log out. Everybody's got to say it at the same time, right? Before we log out. Who is once before we do that, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the podcast. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If we missed any movies, which I know we did, because we talked.
So much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. Put it in the comments. We'll hit it next time. And if you have especially questions for Chaneil, please put them in the comments, and we'd love to get them back to you. All right. All right. This is for you in the comments too, and everybody listening, and for of course the Quest Culture crew. Who's your favorite space villain? You got 3 seconds.
Oh, dear God.
Ready?
No. No, I'm not ready.
3.
Okay.
2. 1.
Darth Vader.
I couldn't even think of one. For some reason, my brain was only on Rick and Morty. For some reason.
We got 3 Vaders and a Rick and Morty villain.
That's Besos. I didn't even think about Rick and Morty. I love that show, man.
Rick and Morty is amazing. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in for the Quest Culture Podcast. We will be back with a new episode coming soon. Please take care. Don't see sinners, and let us know what you think.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.